Hi, folks. I'm Mike, and I do hope you're well. Welcome to Featured Artist Live, a kind of a special edition, if you like, because it's going to be the final Featured Artist Live for 2022. In fact, if you want to know, there won't be any Fix My Mixes either. So it's kind of a special occasion, I guess, and a bit of a time to recap and take a look at what we've had on here in terms of some great music from the community. I just want to say a quick thank you to our sponsor, DistroKid. It's been a long time that they've been sponsoring this every single week. I'm going to guess it's been about a year and a half or so. It could be longer, but anyway, week in, week out, good on them. And if you haven't released your music at all yet, and you're looking to release your music to the world, to places like Spotify and iTunes and Google Play and all of those great places, then do consider following that link in the description down below. You'll get 7% off of the already cheap price of $19.99 or 95, whatever it is per year, to release as many songs of your own to the world as you want, which is a pretty great deal. I'll be talking a little bit later as well about kind of why this is going to be the last show for a while. And I'll be interested to hear your thoughts about that. A lot of what's going on today is really going to be kicking back and listening to some great tunes. So I'm here to chat as well. Anything you want to ask me at all about life, the universe, anything you like, then I'll give it a go. I'll try and answer it. But we're mostly here to celebrate some great music from the community. Talking about the community, we have some awesome people in the live chat here at the moment. I'm always grateful to see them, and a little bit sad that I won't be seeing you all every Friday morning for me for the foreseeable future, because it's been a great hangout, actually. We have Danny Gable here. He was the first one to say hi. We have Rock here as well. We've featured his music on the show, and it's been great. Doug is here. Thank you so much, Doug, for being here every single week, no matter what the time zone is. We've had some different time zones, haven't we, Doug, that you've been involved in, but your dedication has been absolutely wonderful, and I very much appreciate it. Of course, Mimo Japan is here, and also Kiondra Music is here. I say these three people at this moment in time because those are our three moderators, and I just want to take a moment to say a special thanks to Doug and Mimo and also Kiondra as well. Their dedication has been here every week, and we've had, on the whole, a pretty clean chat, apart from the odd hiccup here and there from some robots, probably, anyway. But yeah, thank you so much for being here. And I guess there's not too much to moderate, thank you, because we have an awesome audience. Great to see the producer Arlene here as well, previous guest on the show, and actually had some music featured on the show. It was almost, this is going to sound bad, it was almost on the show again this week. There was a very competitive list of pieces of music, and I'll go into that in a moment. Let me just finish saying hi to everyone who's here. Maybe I've already done everyone. E Short Sax is here as well, who both is always here on Creative Source and on my other channel as well, Studio One Revealed. And thank you so much for your support there. So I thought to myself, hey, I'd like to highlight some music that's been on the show, especially during 2022. But it was going to be pretty time consuming to go through every single piece of music that I had and refresh my memory. So I thought, you know what, the most, or almost the fairest thing to do would be to pick 5 pieces of music which just stuck in my mind. The ones which just I went, yeah, that one should definitely be, that one should definitely be there. Now, do remember, this is a completely undemocratic process. This is completely about me and my personal taste. So if you have submitted music to this show, and by the time we get to the 5th one, get that sinking feeling of disappointment that your music was not picked for the top 5 out of goodness knows how many songs, many songs, You should not feel bad at all. In fact, if your music was on the show at all, that's a sign that I thought it was noteworthy. Um, but but this is really my personal taste or my personal preferences, and I think some of you may disagree with me along the way. But I'll try and give an explanation as to why I think these 5 pieces of music did stick in my mind. I also want to have a little chat with you later on about why I am putting these shows on hiatus for the moment. Okay, we'll get into that later, but I do think. Oh, by the way, before I get into that, I do want to. I knew there was a person that I was trying to say hi to. And that's just come up. Happy Ron is here. Again, Happy Ron is so often here and been a great supporter of the channel, Ron. And indeed, last year it was Ron's song, which is still one of my favourite songs ever, just in music, not just on the show. I really, the song from last year from Happy Ron was just such a great song. And this is what it's all about, really. I hear a lot of music, okay? I try to listen to all of the music I get emailed. And yes, some things just stick in your head. And probably don't need much more explanation than that, but I'll try to explain. Now, as I say, I'll talk about why I'm putting these shows on hiatus at the moment, in a moment. But I think we should get on and listen to the first piece of music first. By the way, before Kianra reminds you, don't forget to hit the like button. It lets people know we're here and that they should come in and join the fun as well. Okay. So the first piece of music was actually on Fix My Mix, going back, I think it was in September or so this year. And it's the only song, or I shouldn't say song, it's the only piece of music that I have on this list, which is both an instrumental and also a cover version as well. Now, I've got no objection to playing cover music on this channel at all, but I do like it to have a little bit of difference from the original. And when I first heard this piece of music, I thought, okay, my first impression was, okay, I remember this tune. It's a theme tune. But has it got anything extra? And then as it progressed, I really felt it had something extra over the original. And I really enjoyed its energy. And I remember playing this on the show. I had Ricky on the show with me. It was the first song that we played on that show. And we both enjoyed it so much that we actually decided to play it at the end of the show, which very rarely happens. I think that did happen for Happy Ron as well, but it very rarely happens. So the actual piece, and if you haven't guessed it already, those of you who hear regularly, the actual piece is by, I don't know the artist name from the community. When they sent me the email, they just call themselves Andre, and it's a cover version of a piece by Henry Mancini called The Inspector Theme. Okay, and I think this is a great start to the show because it's a lot of fun. lush. You know, one of the hardest things to recreate in a studio environment is energy, especially the kind of energy that kind of a band would have on stage. I think all of us probably struggle with that aspect of home recording. Is how do you find that energy? Well, I don't know how they found the energy, but they did there. I think it was something to do with the live brass, which we found out it was after the first playing of this. And indeed, the actual brass player on that track reached out to me by email and offered his services should I ever need some brass on my tracks. And I could tell you, I'm very tempted just to write something, just to use his services for that. Great fun, really great fun, and the world needs some more fun in it sometimes. What's interesting about that is if you actually, after the show, go back and listen to the Inspector theme, the original of it, what you'll probably find, as I did at the time, I remember, was I thought, oh, this is really close to the original. And as I'm listening to it, I think it embodies what we think the original sounded like. But the original is actually quite a bit slower than this in tempo and actually doesn't have the same pizzazz and energy to it. I actually prefer this version to the original, to be honest with you. It was almost like when I went back and listened, I thought, really? Was it that subdued? Because it should be like this version. It should be like Andre's version. But yeah, great stuff there. Really, really enjoyed that an awful lot. And I think that, it's just a reminder of how music without lyrics, if it can move you like this, then it's really done its job. Because so much music we listen to is to do with the lyrics we're hearing as well and the message of those lyrics, etc. So really good stuff there, and well deserved in terms of being a part of my personal top 5. So now I think I would just like to quickly explain why this is a little bit of an end of an era for us in terms of these live shows, and sort of talk about where we might be going in the future. Quick explanation, really. I don't want to dwell on it too much, but essentially, Creative Source has a little bit of a balance in content between educational content, tutorials. A lot of that will be about how to use Cakewalk, but sometimes, as you know, I've done Studio One on the channel, and I've done some general tutorials here and there. The other side of what I do on the channel is more or less reviews, okay, looking at products, either hardware or software, plugins and this kind of thing. And I think it's valid. I think it's a part of what we do. All of us are always considering buying equipment or thinking about what equipment we should have. But I'm always trying to juggle this balance between those two things, because if I'm honest with you, my heart is in the tutorial, is in educating people, because I feel that that you can achieve so much with a very small amount of equipment these days. However, I do think it's valid to know what new products are out there and what have you. But it's very time consuming to do both of those things. I still want to keep an amount of reviews on the channel. It's important. And some of you may have noticed recently I've tried, and I'm moving towards this, I've tried to make the actual review content a little bit more educational as well. So it's not purely a review, more like, techniques and things, and then using pieces of equipment. So there's an element of my time which is used up with that. And then another element of it regularly is making tutorials, and then this show. This show is primarily supposed to be educational. I will say that for a 1-hour show, though, and whether you believe this or not, maybe let me know what you think in the comments. It actually takes up way more time than you think it would. A good day and a half of my week is spent on preparing for this show, listening to material, gathering my thoughts, making thumbnails and what have you. And I have found that it's eaten such a big chunk of time that I'm not delivering as much other tutorials and educational things as I would like to on the channel. And I think it's a big part of what I like to do is really, help you, or just to pass on things I've learned, really, which I've found useful, and help you sort of fast track your learning in terms of recording. So it's not that I'll be taking the end of the week off every week now. I'm aiming to produce a video in place of this for the time being, and almost always that's going to be something of educational value, whether it's a cakewalk tutorial or whether it's a technique generally, or what have you. And I'm going to review in the meantime, between now and 2023, how I'm going to proceed in terms of live things. Okay, so that's why. Now, just very briefly, and I've had a chat with some of my admins about this morning, but it's also, recently I've been doing some social media posts about look at all the headphones I've got, just by the way. That's only some of them. Obviously, people send me things and I've got way too much equipment. And recently I've been doing some social media posts, a series called Gear Days, where every day I talk about something I've got in the studio and why it's useful. And I've actually decided to knock that on the head from today. I'm not going to be knock that on the head. I'm going to end that, because I think that choosing the right gear when you do want gear is important, but I don't want to give people the impression that it's all about gear. And that's the reason why I'm going to be cutting that off as well. I think it's interesting, but as I say, there's too much emphasis for me on, buy this, buy this, buy this. I'm a gearaholic. I love gear, but that doesn't mean I think everyone needs to have all the gear. You don't need all the. Can I say this categorically? You don't need all the gear I've got. You just don't. Okay. But if you can get it, it can be fun. Anyway, that's enough talking. That's the reason why there's a few changes going on. I expect to be back in the new year with some kind of live show, but I'll be open to some suggestions from you, definitely, as to what that should be and what the focus of that should be. Now, moving on to our second song. This song has an unfair advantage as in terms of being in this list, because it's been on a very, very recent show. In fact, it was on last week's show. But more than any other song that I've had on the channel or on this series, this has been in my head. Oh my goodness, I have been humming this tune everywhere I go. Now, it is a genre of music that I personally do enjoy. And I don't even know what it is, but it's a kind of a songwriting and it's a kind of a style of music which I will declare that I'm very biased towards. So it had that in its favour. But also I just think it's very, very well written. It's a bit of a brainworm for me. And yeah, I've been walking around the house all week, sort of humming this tune and sort of going, what's this tune I keep humming? And I go, oh, that was the one that was on the show last week. And I thought that was enough. I thought, if a song can do that, if it really gets stuck in there and you're just enjoying it, then I think that I think that it deserves to be in here. So it is number 2. Look, by the way, this is not really a number. This is not a top 5 in the sense of, in order whatsoever. That would be impossible to do. It's just impossible. But this is just 5 of my favorites. This is number 2 on the list, but not number 2 in the ranking. Okay, let's just play the music, Mike. This is called, where are we? It was on the show last week. It's called Flesh Coloured Soul by Hayden Davies. Wonderful tune. Don't want to say anything more. Just enjoy it.
I was young, I had to be putting me facing the sun. But now I'm old, I need to be holding me hands in the cold. So don't paint me this way. The skin will not wash away. Put your hands in the snow and pull out the white wine with my flesh-colored soul. Oh, let's hope it's the right one. When you and me, you had to go sinking your face in the sea. But now it's you, your colors are turning to shades of deep blue. So don't leave me to fade. The red, the green and the gray. Put your hands in the snow and pull out the white wine with my flesh-colored soul. Oh, let's hope it's the right one. Let's hope it's the right one. Let's hope it's the right one. When I was young, I had to be putting me face in the sun. Put your hands in the snow and pull out the white wine with my flesh-colored soul. Oh, let's hope it's the right one. Put your hands in the snow and pull out the white wine with my flesh-colored soul. Oh, let's hope it's the right one.
As I said last week, I just think that that's just a nice example of some songwriting. Just, just as I say, I mean, I know Happy Ron's here. He's just into the subject. We're talking about songwriting, but I always find that I'm always looking for this balance. There's enough there for it to be an earworm. There's enough there for it to be catchy. But it doesn't go too far. There's enough variation in there. I'm going to say it's quite palatable. I'm not. It's it's not verging on avant-garde or anything like that. So I think it's a good listen for a lot of people. And there's some soul in there. There's some depth in there, and some great performances as well. Apart from all of that, then I thought this was a good production as well. Good balanced production. So yeah. Great song. I'm sure it's in the playlist, by the way. Check the link in the description for the Creative Source playlist on Spotify. Now, before we move on to the next song, And I always feel a bit embarrassed about this. Ever since Lorraine was on the show from the produce aisle, I'm always like, here I go doing my tacky commercial part. But I'm going to mention DistroKid, of course, the sponsor of the show. I had a chat with DistroKid about the format of the show or a week or so ago, and they were so wonderfully supportive. They said, look, Mike, whatever you think you should do, we don't want to interfere in what you creatively do on the channel, which they don't. I must say, none of my partners ever do, nor would I allow them to. But they can. The DistroKid are especially good in this thing. We trust you. You do what you need to do. So thanks to DistroKid for that. Because with some of the content that's going to be on the channel, they will also be continuing to sponsor that. But just a quick word about one of their features, which is the Spotlight feature. Submit your music to the DistroKid Spotlight feature. It gets entered into this competition where it gets played alongside other songs, and people will vote for which of the two they see on the screen is their favourite. Now, the better you do in this process, the more likely you are to appear in one of DistroKid's playlists on Spotify, and that means your music's got a much better chance of being heard. So you simply go ahead and select one of your songs, and then you've just got to select a 29-second clip. The best part of the song, it would be the best way to go with this, and you've got this nice sort of interactive feature here to do that. You simply then select the Connect with Spotify button, and you're away. You know, I always felt as a musician that I enjoyed so many different kinds of music. Like most people during my teenage years, though, I listened to kind of one or two different types of music. I always did like the edgier stuff. I always preferred punk to pop, for example. I always liked things, I liked attitudes in music where the middle finger was stuck up to the establishment, and all of that stuff that I think you should be like as a teenager, and I was definitely like that. I secretly grew a passion when I was about 15 years old for two things. One was what I'd call sort of jazz stage music, Count Basie or whatever, that kind of jazz. I sort of began to hear it and like it, and I also through one piece of music, a classical piece of music, a violin concerto by Sibelius, which I was exposed to in music at high school, and should have hated it. But at sort of 15 years old, I found myself listening to this piece of classical music over and over again, and I still listen to that piece of music now. And that opened the doorway for me to another whole world of music, apart from those distorted guitar chords that I'd been listening to. However, having said that, if I'm vacuuming the house on a Saturday morning and the AirPods go in, the Sex Pistols still get a good play on there, as do the Clash and a few other bands from that era. And so there's still a part of me which just wants to put the middle finger up to the establishment and play some rock and roll, basically. And I think when I heard this song a couple of months ago on Featured Artist Live, there was an element of that in it. I'm not going to say it's the most original piece of music in the world or anything like that, but I liked the attitude, and it just did that for me. Whether it does that for you or not, I don't know. We all respond in different ways. But the song was called, well, you'll find out when the song starts what it's really called, but it has an acronym, which is this: ATFL. The band is called Grizzly Habit. Now, another reason why I like this piece of music is because it also embodies what modern music making is all about, in the sense that I know that this was done on with no budget, including the video as well, which it was all like a family affair. I think dad and mum all had a hand in the production as well as the girls involved. So let's play the song and enjoy it. It's a good bit of fun. Grizzly Habit.
Early July, late nights in the kitchen, your air guitar. Listening to Don't Let Me Down and playing bars on my arm. And I was sitting on the sink and I thought that I can't think of one thing about you that I don't like, and it's killing me. You dozed off on the phone, I hear the rhythm of your breath, and I'm jealous of the girl that gets to fall asleep next to that. And you'll never know just exactly how it is to be this much in love with someone so out of it. Are you curious what it's like to be adored that much? Wondering what I see in you to have me waiting for this long. Is it even a question? It's not an obsession, but it's close enough. I don't know what to do with all this fucking love. I heard that you're seeing someone, and I can't help but think, if I hadn't come on so strong, maybe that could be me. Remember when you said we'd be good together? It's still in my head, but I'd block out the follow-up if we weren't such good friends. Are you curious what it's like to be adored that much? Wondering what I see in you to have me waiting for this long. Is it even a question? It's not an obsession, but it's close enough. I don't know what to do with all this fucking love. Guess I still think eventually you'll give it in. You kiss me and you swear you forgot, but I remember it. And I've been waiting on this feeling to stop since we were little kids. Won't you give it in? Won't you give it in? I'm so curious what it's like to be adored that much. Wondering what I see in you to have me waiting for this long. Is it even a question? It's not an obsession, but it's close enough. I don't know what to do with all this fucking love.
There you go. It probably would have upset society, a song like that 25 years ago. And here we are. It doesn't upset anyone anymore. Maybe my mum would still be upset. I like to think so. Anyway, great song there, great tune. I think that the sort of mix and the production was not perfect, which is kind of one of the things I like about it in a way. Chris Roberts says here, the drum mix sound takes me back to band rehearsals, and I kind of agree with you there, Chris, but it's sort of what I like about it. Not too overproduced. You wouldn't want to be too overproduced with that style of music anyway. But yeah, I liked it, and I would like the generation sometimes to stick their middle finger up to the establishment much more than they do. But there you go. That's my own opinion. But yeah, enjoy the energy there, and that's what music is often about for me. Is the energy, and I wish them a lot of luck for the future with that. Now, the next song that we have up is here. It's completely different. I've got a completely different thing, and it's here. I think because again at the time it just struck me that given this was coming from a member of the community, someone who's in the Cakewalk Facebook group quite a lot, and when I heard it, I just thought, what do you need advice from me for? You're already producing such good quality music. That was my initial feeling. So that's why this is here. And again, it was just one of those ones that stuck in my mind. I like the quality of the recording. I think the mix is good, and I like the song. I think that's always the most important thing to me. And I know that someone here in the chat already wanted this one to be in here, and I'm glad to say it is. It's called, where's the title here? It's called 5 More Minutes, and it's from something called the Caden Song Sessions, but I think that's a kind of a temporary name, as it were. But anyway, have a listen. Now that was the wrong song, by the way. We're not playing the same song twice. At least I won't have to make these kind of mistakes anymore on Friday mornings. Try again.
Oh baby, I know I was wrong. I didn't hear you till the day you were gone. Guess I took it just a little too far, but I was having one of them days. I had so many things in my head, and I was seeing all red. Didn't mean what I said. Now I need you right here with me. Can you find it in your heart to give me just 5 more minutes? More time, just 5 more minutes. Give me just 5 more minutes to hold
just a sort of a complete song, really, isn't it? I mean, it comes down at this point to, do you enjoy this song or not? And some of you will and some of you won't. But I don't think there's anything that could be done, any more that could be done to the production itself. Just great stuff there. And I'm glad that, people like that are a member of the community and that they're still able to get something out of my videos. It's very complimentary. And talking about 5 more minutes, there's not too many more minutes to go before we move on to the final song. We will have a quick, can I just say, before we go to a quick word from the sponsor or about the sponsor, for those watching on the replay, you may have seen some of these sort of comments go up on the screen. I've put them up from, or not from Danny, from Doug, who is in the live chat. I'll just pop one up here. What's happening with Doug here, just so you understand, you may not have noticed, his space bar has stopped working, on his keyboard. So you kind of have to work out his comments. So the space bar is protesting me. So just in sort of, in sympathy with Doug, I'd like for everybody else for the rest of the show, and indeed in the comments down below, if you're watching the replay, to make your comments without any space whatsoever. This will mean that we're all having to put effort into figuring out our comments. So just for a bit of fun, let's do that. No more space, okay? Let's, show some empathy with Doug here as we find out about this. One of the ways to actually get your music heard on Spotify is to get onto a playlist. Now, DistroKid offers a really fun way to get onto one of their playlists with their Wheel of Playlists feature. Simply head over to your DistroKid account, go to the top right where it says Goodies, then go down to Wheel of Playlist, and then you start off simply by selecting a song, something you've already released, and then click on Connect with Spotify. Now, obviously, the further up a playlist you get, the more likely people are to actually hear your music and enjoy it. So what DistroKid do here with this feature is they give you 3 chances to spin a wheel, a kind of a wheel of fortune type of thing going on here. Now, the best result of those 3 spins determines your number in the playlist. And as I say, the higher up you are, the better. So on this occasion, I achieved 1,088. You can try every day if you like. So maybe that's something you'd like to do to actually get your music in a playlist on Spotify. So yeah, lots of, the word I was looking for was solidarity. There's a lot of solidarity here from genre music, support and empathy, and no more space. Fair enough. Bit challenging though, challenging to read as well. Genre, as you know, I struggle to read at the best of times. This is fun. Thanks, Doug, for your technical failure, and look how much love you're getting from the community, really. And look, Mimo's in there. Must be driving him nuts. Anyway, the final song is not in English, and I've said before that you don't have to have an English-speaking song to be on the show. And in fact, I take it as for someone like me who only speaks, I know a little bit of Japanese here and there, but really I don't speak Japanese. But someone like me who only really speaks English, and a lot of people I feel in my culture are pretty lazy when it comes to listening to music in foreign languages. We kind of have to be given English music for us to consider even listening to it normally. So I try to be really fair and make sure that we do get non-English speaking music on the show, because I'm aware of this bias in our music industry. And what I like it when I hear a piece of music, or if a piece of music sticks in my mind, as this one has done, and I don't know what the lyrics are about, which is a bit scary, because it could be saying something that I really don't dig, hey, something that I don't agree with, a sentiment. It could be something really awful about some group of people or something. I should have checked that actually before I put it in my top 5. But no, I always think that that's a sign that the music's done a really, really, really good job of conveying emotion, essentially, which is what music should always do. So I don't know what the meaning of this song is. I've got a feeling that somebody in the chat does, though, and they can let me know in the chat without using the space bar. That would be fun, won't it? But the actual song was on Featured Artists in October and is called Chavu Roku Rockstar, Zero Drunk Stars, anyway. This is a great tune and does the fantastic job of putting me in a really good mood for some reason when I listen to it. So I hope it will put you in a good mood before we finish off the show. Have a listen. You know what? I hadn't actually seen the whole video before. Last when the song was on the show before, I didn't actually have the video. I just played it from Spotify. And yesterday, I thought, I wonder if there's a video for this, which I just put. The video is great. I really enjoyed that. It suddenly occurred to me there was something a bit sort of familiar or similar to The Offspring a little bit there, which really enjoyed. Been a good fun song. Really, people were pointing out things there. Like the guitars were sounding great in that. Nice panning in there. Of course, Warren Hewitt would be very, very pleased about. And just want to say a big thank you to Rock, who was valiantly trying to translate the meaning there for us. Thank you, Rock. But just another example of some of the great music that comes from our actual community, from people in our community. And a reminder that so much is possible. And oftentimes, whether it's been on Featured Artist Live or on Fix My Mix, when I have delved into what equipment and what situations people were dealing with in terms of making music, there are some people in the community that have access to some really great gear and stuff, and that's great if you can do that. But on many occasions, some great music has come out of the community on a very small budget, with very little equipment, sometimes with people working remotely from each other and not in the perfect studio environment. And some fantastic music has come out of it along the way. So everybody who has sent their music in over the last few months, and as I say, probably a good year and a half now that I've been doing these shows, whether it's Featured Artists or Fix My Mix, to all of those people, thank you so much for doing that. It's a brave thing to do. Sometimes when I've had guests on the show, we've been a little bit not always so positive about some of the things that we've heard. I like to think we've always been constructive, though. But it's a big thing to put your music out there to the community and have it sort of analysed and picked to pieces by other musicians, nonetheless, which is always a scary thing. And so thank you so much for sending that music in. And then, this wouldn't work if it wasn't for the people who are here in the live chat and the people that watch on the replays. And there's many, many people who do watch the replay of this because they can't make the live show. And I thank you enormously. But there is a special group of people, and they know who they are, who are here week in, week out. They're in the live chat now. And I know many of you have not only, been here, but you've also joined the communities of my friends, fellow YouTubers as well, and reached out to them. And what you people do, you're in Facebook, you're here, you're on YouTube, you're taking part all the time, is just what makes this work at all. It's what makes me able to be able to do this as my full-time job, which I do, and I have to pinch myself quite often to think how fortunate and lucky I am to be doing this as a job. I'm not that different to you in so many ways. In fact, I'm not really different to you in many ways. I'm a home studio guy. I have this little room here, which I make music in. Sometimes we have to extend to a couple of the other rooms in the house. And I'm still learning. And I enjoy being able to pass on what I've learned so far, what the things that I have found useful. So I thank you so much for having supported this show in particular. It is going into hiatus for the time being. I know it will be back in some format. I'm just not sure yet. But my creative side needs a change as well and needs a new challenge. So I'll be looking at that. But your dedication has been absolutely incredible. I've said it before. I'll say it again. I don't want to say everybody who's in the chat here at the moment, because then I would be in danger of leaving someone out, and I hate to do that. So I'll just specifically say thank you again to Mimo Japan, to Kianra and Doug for being here every week and for moderating as well, even though you haven't had to do much moderation. But you've always been here, and it really means the world to me. Thank you so much, because it's quite hard to control all these things, and to have to moderate the chat as well would just be impossible for an old brain like mine. So thank you so much anyway for those people specifically for being here. But to everyone else, as I say, who sent their music in, thank you. And I will be now focusing on some very regular, hopefully now weekly, educational material, tutorials, things I've found out that you may find useful as well on the channel. And I look forward to seeing you all in the chat there. And you have a lovely weekend. And I'll see you in this format somehow in the new year, probably mid to late January at this stage. Okay? Have a great weekend. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you.